Like campaign period, as I said to you, we discussed with the police, because if 21-day campaign period, minimum as requested by policy, the police are the ones who get permit for campaigning, for ceramah and so on. They say they cannot go on working 24 hours for 21 days. Please.
No, you must listen to him.
You must listen.
Yeah, you have to be fair.
It does not mean that when I say something you agree.
He's not a policeman. He's saying what they say, not what he says.
I'm telling you what the feedback, the police position as far as the longer campaign period. But we have our position also. When we brought the matter to the government, we tend to agree with the position provided, given by the government also. That look at our country, we have 12 million voters. And look at our country, the level of sophistication of ICT, communication and so on. And people know who are the political parties involved in these countries. There are no new parties coming up suddenly, need 3 weeks to introduce themselves. Everybody knows what is the policy of the government, the government's party, what are the policy, what are the manifesto of the... So they say, yeah, of course. This is the kind of people we inside, we argue. Do we really need 21 days? That you say yes, but not everybody say yes. We are not.
Yeah, I tell you what.
SPR is not only responsible to a section of people.
Firstly, if I could just talk about the longer campaign period. I think 21 days is really, when you look at 42 days in the old days, 21 days is not very long at all. But it is certainly, 7 days is unacceptable. I think that's the point, that's the main point. It's totally unacceptable. Yes. And if you are really serious about overseas voters, it cannot be done in 7 days or 10 days. You've got to give enough time for overseas voters if you're serious about allowing them to vote. Now, the other thing is that the issue about Datuk Wan mentioned that they had met Bersih, and I need to clarify this again. I did clarify it on Tuesday. I think people probably want to understand why it is we took the action that we did. Why did we hold the rally? Now, I think it was, number one, utter frustration in not getting anywhere. Ultimately, no point having good discussion tanpa hasil, yeah? No point discussing unless something concrete comes out of it. We didn't see anything concrete coming out of the discussions. But they did see us, I don't deny that. They gave us a lot of time, I'm not saying no. But clearly, Dato' Wan, even from what you say today, the Election Commission, although I disagree with you, feels that it doesn't have the power to bring change. That's the problem. That is really the problem. That's a real problem. And I'll tell you why I disagree with you, Dato' Wan, and I've said it before over and over again. You are in a special position. Now look at 1143, all right? It says, in appointing, first 1142 says, in appointing members of the Election Commission, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong shall have regard to the importance of securing an election commission which enjoys public confidence. That's 2. 3 says this, a member of the Election Commission, there are a few sentences, and then it says, but shall not be removed from office except on the like grounds and in the like manner as a judge of the federal court. That's how important they are. Oh, yes. That's how important they are. But they don't believe it themselves. That's the frustration that we face. And let me tell you, at the end of the day, what pushed us really to hold this rally were the Sarawak elections. And what was happening in the Sarawak elections, I've got a long list, I can tell you, long list of electoral fraud, vote buying, etc., etc., etc. And we kept talking about that. And we kept saying, register the Sarawakians who are in West Malaysia as postal voters. None of that was paid attention to. The response of the Election Commission was, we have no power. You've heard it yourself today. We have no power to take action against electoral fraud. We kept saying, but you do. But you do under the Enforcement Act. And the thing is that no steps were taken to do that. MACC turns around and says, oh, video evidence is not good enough. I don't know why that is, because there was actually video evidence on electoral fraud. So the utter frustration, you see, it was the electoral fraud in Sarawak this time, from the reports that we received, were really serious. Our concern was it would spill over to the general elections. That was our concern. And we had basis for that concern, because despite the fact that there were electoral fraud, etc., no action was being taken. So what was giving us confidence that actually everything we say to improve the system was ever going to come to pass? And that is why we held the rally as we did. And yes, they did say they would meet with us a second time, and that didn't happen. But I just need to explain it to you, why we did what we did. We don't have time. We don't have the luxury of time. GE 13 is not far away, which is why even this biometric system, can they tell us, can they get this operational within, how long do we have till 2013? Can it be operational? Can it win the trust of the people? Which is why we're saying, Tuan Chai, to your question about indelible ink, it's cheap, it's worked. I don't know two better reasons to have a system like that. And the only reason they say, the only reason against it is two things. One is, they say there was some sign of fraud. People apparently, the last round, brought ink in from Thailand, etc. I don't know, but nobody was charged. We don't know what happened to that. Secondly, they say people may be forced, all right? People may actually color the finger forcefully. Now, if that happens, the person concerned has to make a police report and has to go and inform the relevant authorities. The IC has to be checked. We are not suggesting only indelible ink. You will also have the IC check, all the other checks as well. This is just one way to reduce fraud, but I can tell you it has been very effective. It has been very effective. So that's why we say we don't think you're going to be ready with the biometric. I may be wrong. I defer to what Dr. Wan has to say. But if you want the biometric to work, you've got to spend time on it. Anything rushed, that's our other concern. If you rush it, we are going to end up in trouble as well. That's my fear. Now, I need to take, sorry, Tan Sri, but I just need to answer a couple of things here. Dr. Sri Shafi says, and I accept what he says, he's done the most number of election petition cases. I have done none, let me tell you. I am not an expert on election petitions, but I can tell you this as to the law. It is highly technical. Half the petitions get thrown out on grounds that you didn't serve it in the right place, and so on and so forth, which is why the law has not developed on election petitions at all. And I'm not sure if Dr. Sri Shafi was suggesting that if it didn't turn up in any election petition, the problem doesn't exist. Are you saying that?
No.
Yeah, because that's like saying if you don't take human rights abuses to court, that means it doesn't exist. You know, that's nonsense, okay? These issues of phantom voters and so on do exist. I've shown you the evidence. We have plenty of evidence. Sometimes the evidence doesn't come up in time before an election petition is filed because there are strict time periods. So to say that if it is not there and the election petition is not happening, I don't think is correct at all. And I'll tell you something. I must tell you about this case. And these things have been raised, by the way. But our own Dr. Jaya, God bless him, and we all think about him today. He's on a fast. And God bless all the other PSM members. And I hope Dr. Sri Shafi, in his capacity as Human Rights, ASEAN Human Rights Commissioner, is pushing for their release. Now, what I will say, in his petition, Sungai Siput, this was 2000, all right, before the latest elections. This was 2000. He raised all these issues, phantom voters, he raised issues of use of force, violence, etc., everything that he could, transfer of names of eligible voters and so on and so on. Such serious issues. And what happened, unfortunately? The petition got struck out on a technical ground. That's how unfortunate it is. So to me, election petition is not the answer to our election woes. I can guarantee you that. And in fact, the Likas case, the judge there actually talked about the electoral roll. But what happens after that? They amend the law. and say 9A now says you cannot challenge the electoral roll. By the way, Dr. Sri Shafi, the 9A actually says you cannot go for even judicial review. It says it outs the jurisdiction of the court. But I don't think it means you cannot go to court. I do admit that. Yes. You want to finish? Sorry. I'll just wind up. No, it's important because these issues have been raised. But I want to say also that in Likas, in that suit, I think people should read that judgment actually, because there's some issues that were raised there in relation to election fraud, although the court did not find election fraud. But the learned judge actually mentions a phone call that he got. I think that's mentioned in the judgment. A phone call that he got telling him to dismiss the petition. That's in the judgment. Okay? So, brave judge. And I'll tell you something else. The other case where the learned judge, after this case, they actually brought in appeal to the federal court. Before this, the high court judges, Dr. Sri Shafi talks about the learned judge Wan Yahya. Yes, I've got a copy of his summary of his case. But after all that, in about 2002, they amended the law to say now election petition doesn't stop with the election judge. You can appeal it to the federal court. Why? So you may have a brave judge who may be prepared to do the right thing, but you see, the appellate process, anything can happen. So to me, all these amendments, that's why I'm saying it's not difficult to do amendments. They've been doing amendments, hundreds of amendments, as we go along. And I feel, Datuk Wan, that you have to show the leadership. EC has to, this is their area. They cannot be removed. Unless Parliament says they can be removed. They should not be afraid of the government. That's what we are asking for, and that's what we have always asked for, and I've always said we will back them. If they do the right thing and move for the right amendment, we, the public, will back them. And then I want to see what the government says.